Birds. Hope my possessed coffee maker isn't too loud. The power of Christ compels you. Okay, Bernie Town Hall, Part 2. So Bernie had his Fox News Town Hall yesterday, and it did Part 1 earlier today, and this is going to be the second half hour of that Town Hall. I just got a bunch of notes here. Let's see what I wrote down. Hey, sweetie. Trade deals. Bernie talked a lot about failed trade deals, how he voted against NAFTA, how he voted against the TPP. He talked about how he walked picket lines with unions and how he's been pro-union his entire life. So that was good to have those things said on Fox News. He talked about how he's pro-Green New Deal, and I'm glad he said this on Fox News because Fox News spends so much of their time ranting against AOC and the Green New Deal. And, you know, they need to know that a man like Bernie Sanders, with political and moral integrity, is for the Green New Deal, that it is a good thing, that we do have 12 years until a climate change disaster happens, and there's disasters happening all over the place already because of it. Like AOC said, science isn't partisan. Let's get over this thing that science is a partisan issue. It's not. It's objective. It's not Democrat or Republican. So I'm glad he spoke up about the Green New Deal. He talked about the opiate crisis, promoted treatment, and how he's for funding for it, and we need to broaden that fight as it's one of the leading causes of death in America. Our life expectancy is literally declining because of it. It needs to be addressed. The funds need to be there. He spoke to that effect. Let's see, what else did he talk about? He talked a lot about justice. As you know, Bernie Sanders is all about justice, economic justice, racial justice, economic justice, and he spoke at length about that. Let's see, they talked about comprehensive immigration reform, asylum reform, let's see, what else? Anti-interventionist measures he talked about. He talked about being anti-war. He talked about being against the Iraq War. He talked about not being for these, humanitarian wars, they're called. So I'm glad he spoke up about that. What else? He talked about being anti-nuclear weapons and how we need to build down our nuclear power over a period of time and rely intrinsically on renewable energy. So that's a great topic. Let's see, abortion came up. So Bernie's obviously pro-abortion. And the host, Martha, what's her name? Martha McCollum asked Bernie this: with regard to abortion, do you think a woman should be allowed to terminate a pregnancy up until the moment of birth? And I'm just like, what? And Bernie had a WTF look on his face, like, that happens so rarely. And Fox News and the pathological right have made this such a huge political talking point. And the crowd reacted just the same as Bernie did. They actually verbalized it. They were like, "Oh my God!" There was gasps out in the audience, and it was like, once again, disingenuous framing. Fox News are the gods of disingenuous framing, and the crowd responded appropriately, and Bernie responded. Let me see. What did Bernie say? He said the bottom line is that decision of abortion belongs to a woman and her physician, and not the local, the state, or federal government, full stop. So that's how you shut him down. There was issues about pro-voting rights for prisoners. As you know, there's a big problem with prisoners getting their right to vote being revoked. and Bernie is pro-prison voters. Like, he wants them to vote. They are Americans, so they should be able to vote. Bernie is pro-prison voters. And the last question, Martha asked, do you think Joe Biden is progressive? Which I like that question, actually. But obviously, he dodged it. He said, that's my colleague, that's my friend. I've known Joe for a very long time. And he basically said, let's talk the issues and people can make up their minds for themselves, which is a great answer, which is something we should all be focused on here. And I can't wait for the debates. If Biden makes it, he can tell us how progressive he is. And you can match that up with Bernie Sanders and Mike Gravel if he makes it, and Marianne Williamson if she makes it, and Andrew Yang, and anyone else who has some progressive tendencies and progressive policies. So I fully agree with that. That's democracy. Okay, so let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, click the bell on the side.